Alright, we are getting ready to bike for the day in Iyama. Everyone has their normal bikes, and I have an electric bike. And we don't have to make it for it. Hello, howdy. We're gonna do a little bit of a different video today. This is going to be a travel recap in the form of some vignettes, the travel journal, the process of travel journaling, and just a little bit of a reflection on the trip that we just had to Nagano, which was kind of impromptu. I have my coffee here. I'm gonna take a sip. Which was a little bit of an impromptu trip. I guess it happened. Let me check my journal. I guess it happened. October 9th? Yes, that is a little bit under a month ago. That's when we left for Tokyo. As a fam, it was sort of a, again, last minute trip that we decided to go on with the very, very dedicated intention to go apple picking. We love apple picking for a variety of reasons, but I mean, who wouldn't love apple picking? Apple picking is great. Just make sure this is... Apple picking is awesome, and if you haven't tried it, I would highly recommend it, but we don't typically do this in Japan. In fact, we've never done this in Japan, and I think one of the reasons we're chasing that fall feeling, you know? We wanted to, Hong Kong is like 30 degrees Celsius still. It is November, and yeah, we were just hoping to find a place where we could really experience fall, the weather changing, the cool breeze, some leaves, apple picking, a reminder of upstate New York, which is where we usually go apple picking. And again, a variety of reasons, but the main one being that Sean cannot have apples typically. He can only eat them off a tree, and within sort of 24 hours of the apple being off the tree. We decided to set off. I don't think we didn't do apple picking in New York this year. We did do it last year, I want to say. I don't even remember, but it's been 1 to 2 years. The kiddos haven't done it in a while, and we found a area in Nagano that is known for its apples. And yeah, we almost didn't go because, you know, Sean couldn't get his license in time. So again, this is sort of rural countryside of Japan, an hour and a half away by Shinkansen. We stayed in an Airbnb at a little farm, and yeah, it was probably the most kind of doable Airbnb that we could do without us having a car. It was still a like 25-minute walk from the closest train station, tiniest train station I've ever seen in my life. It's really just a building in the middle of nowhere, and the train comes every 2 hours, which I guess is normal, but we didn't know that in the beginning, so we ended up having to take some cabs, etc. But it was totally fine. It was a very short trip, but we packed a punch into the trip. And so I guess what I'm saying is, if you're planning for a trip and you are on the fence about it, I would say do it. That is my advice, because we had a great time. We did so much. We spent some time in Tokyo where I was able to sort of, I got 3 hours to myself to do some stationery shopping. I had a list. I went through the list. I had 3 stores to hit. It was Itoya, Maruzen, and Loft. I hit all 3 of them in 3 hours. Stayed in Ginza next to Tokyo Station. We could set off at 1 p.m. after I'd shopped for 3 hours, and it was great. It was, yeah, it was everything. I definitely didn't expect it. In a way, I was like, oh no, I'm a worry, wart, anxious person. So again, a lot of things on my mind, but it all worked out and it was wonderful. And I thought we would just kind of walk through the trip together in the form of this travel journal. And so I am going to, we're gonna just go through this, and I think I'll probably film some top-down footage later so that, you know, you can kind of see what I'm referring to. But yeah, I just wanted to do something a little different, kind of intersperse some things together, but I don't know if it's gonna work out. We'll see. And I hope I'm not talking for too long. I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Yeah, this giant mirror behind me, but again, I also reset up my stationery station. I would love to give everyone a tour soon because I have this little cabinet here that I've completely reorganized, and it's kind of like shopping at a stationery store every day. So I have like all these different sections for different things, and it's great because sometimes when I get the urge to shop, I'm like, actually, I should just go into my cabinet. Anyways, I haven't even done my daily journal yet, so whew, lots of things to go through, but starting with this. This is the Tokyo limited edition, I guess, insert that came with the Tokyo Traveler's Notebook, the Tokyo TN release that came out earlier this year, the black cover with that Tokyo embossing on the front. I do have it. I haven't actually unboxed it yet even. I don't know if I want to keep it, so I have it there. I am currently on a day-to-day basis. I've switched over to my my TN regular, and this is, it's funny, it's like, why do I keep buying so many TNs? Because this is the TN that I've been using since 2009. It is quite tattered, quite torn, and for the first time I actually realized there's these little leather peels on the side, which hopefully is just, you know, nothing too big, but I did wax it or kind of like butter it up with the Renapur beeswax jojoba oil, and it's great. I think I did a little mini tour last time, but I am really kind of going through this this Yoseka insert quite a bit, kind of planning a bunch of things. Like this is like this little note is how I'm planning this video right here. Anyways, the reason I kind of got back into this is because I really love travel journaling in this so much. And so I wanted to sort of go back to this format, not just on a travel journal basis, but on a daily basis. So yeah, let's go through this. So one of the things I did during sort of to prep for this travel journal is I wrote down on a daily basis what we did every day, just as a note format. So it's very simple, from sort of Nagano trip, things to remember, Ben tripping over his suitcase. So from the tiniest things possible to, or like Ben's TV not working on the plane, to like little quotes, to like sort of big things like apple picking. We went apple picking twice. We went grocery shopping, we made apple pie, we baked the pie. I mean, there was a lot that we did, and so this was 1, 2, 3, I think this was 5 days worth of things that we did, all bundled up into this sheet. And so when it came time for me to journal in this, it was helpful, and I could refer to it. I would make sure I didn't sort of forget stuff. And then one thing I did want to also give a special mention to is I did pick up, and now it's kind of disorganized because I've been rummaging through it, but I did pick up this Traveler's Company, I don't even know what you call this, but it's the Pan Am. It's this little ring binder with pockets inside. And so I loved this because what it allowed me to do right after the trip is I just used it as a place to put all my inserts. Oh, it's not inserts, but like, ephemera I was collecting. So I actually split them up by day. So I did all the ephemera on the first day. Second day, third day, I put them in these little pockets. And now there's nothing in here because I took them out. I gave all the remainder stuff to Jane, and for the rest of the stuff, I'm thinking of just throwing them away because I don't need them anymore. But highly recommend getting something like this. And if I had this during the trip, I probably would have just done these daily items on each section of this area here. So highly recommend. I didn't think that this would be helpful, but it was. And yeah, okay, so there's that. Things are flying out of my notebook right now. So yeah, this is my travel journal. And now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know if this is the best way to communicate because I'm just gonna have to constantly flip it like this when really it should be a top-down view. So I might switch angles here. So thank you for bearing with me. I will see you in another angle. All right, we have changed locations of the camera, and I think this is a better way for you to see this travel journal anyways. So I'm going to just do a quick flip through, and I'll try to talk through some of the things that you're seeing here in some detail, but probably not too much. I don't want this video to be too long. I'd love to know sort of your process of journaling, or do you do this way too, or is there anything else that you do, tips and tricks that you can share? I'd love to know, because obviously this isn't my first travel journal, but it also won't be my last. So, you know, I find that I do different things every time I go out, and yeah, the travel journals over time have just progressed, and I love that. And so yes, I decided to put this journal to good use. It's not exactly in Tokyo that we went to, but we did go by way of Tokyo. I'm also going to Fukuoka in a month, and so, or end of this month. I do have some pages left, so I think I'm just gonna fill the rest of this up. But right now I do have 28 pages for the 5 nights that we went to Nagano and Tokyo. So yeah, let's do a quick flip through. I usually put our plane ticket on this first page. I really love doing that. This was actually something that I took out of my plotter. This was a kind of my stationary to-do list and to-buy list, so I have to just, you know, made sure I had a memory of this. And so yeah, that's sort of the first page, setting the scene of the trip to come. I typically actually stick down all my ephemera first, go day by day. That's sort of what I did here, and then I went back and I wrote down everything and filled in the gaps. So I'll probably like throw in some process journal here and there, sort of the in-process view of things that you'll see. And so yeah, this was the first day, or first night and evening that we arrived. We did arrive at Tokyo Station from Narita, and I did choose a hotel that was close to the area, close to the station. So besides just taking the train straight from Narita, we didn't have to do any more traveling. We checked in, we went to Family Mart, obviously, and we also went to a little izakaya, as you'll see here. Actually, I have to keep checking to see if you see this, but I think you do, so I don't have to keep lifting my notebook. And so again, I actually used the Canon selfie to print all the photos at once, so that also made this journaling process a lot easier. I printed all the photos that I wanted to print all in one go, and I think it ended up maybe being 20 photos, and so it was about 5 sheets of the postcard size that I then ended up cutting up. So yeah, this page was sort of a document of my stationery excursion the next day, of which I left my family for 3 hours. I even have a little schedule that I had to abide by with all the opening times of the stationery stores. One thing I did differently in this journal this time was I think I did a lot more illustrations, and I gave myself permission to sort of draw a lot more. You know, for example, I didn't really have anything with a Loft logo on it, or I did have a receipt, and I'm trying to put fewer receipts in my journals because they do sort of they kind of erase over time. They're not actually really great archival material, so I drew the Loft logo instead, and I've been loving using color pencils. And I just want to say that this set, even though it's small, is quite mighty, and so I would highly recommend. I do love the Mitsubishi colors. They go on really well, and so I think this is something I'm definitely going to start carrying around with me. I also do have a little sort of small collection of random color pencils from like the Tombow pencil sets that I used to have. I do buy these Mitsubishi sort of one-off pencils, and also the Caran d'Ache ones. And yeah, a good assortment of colors that I just have and keep handy with me here. But moving on, obviously, as you know, if you've been to Japan or maybe seen some vlogs, lots of stamps that you can collect. We didn't get as many this time, but whenever we did see something, I would try to collect it. And so here I just stuck them in. Some maps, Shinkansen tickets. You can't really keep the tickets, they take them, the machines take them. And so these are just the receipts. And I do have these little tickets that from the traveler company washi tapes. And yeah, our first day in Nagano, second day of the trip, we did stop by a farm immediately. It was super close to the station. And you know, it was just a very, very wonderful apple picking experience. It's so different from apple picking in New York, which, you know, is very wholesome, free for all. You know, they just put you in the orchard and you go. In Japan, it's very organized. You get every family who goes apple picking gets a little table. They give you an apple core, an apple peeler, some knives, a cutting board, and it's like on the flip side, a very civilized way to go apple picking. And so this is what that is, a document of that. And so I've just collected some of the brochures that the apple picking farms gave us. And yeah, and then shortly after, at this point we haven't even checked into our Airbnb yet, we did miss the train to our small little tiny station, so we ended up having to take a cab there. But it was super nice. Our host was super accommodating, and we actually went back to the original station right after we dropped off our stuff, because right where we were was nothing. We didn't do any grocery shopping, so we weren't at all prepared, but we worked it out, and yeah, the timing of everything worked out, and these are just some memories. Even that small tiny station though had their own stamp, which I thought was super cute and a sort of good reflection of the stamp culture in Japan. Next day, cycling. We rented bikes back to Iyama, so that's sort of like our base station at this point. We rented bikes. I got an e-bike, and we just biked around the area. We stopped by a super cute cafe, and I understand why Nagano is sort of known as the Alps in Japan, because it really does look like it. Look at these mountains, these mountainscapes, very sort of Sound of Music. But yeah, we had a beautiful, amazing brunch, and just biked through the area, the countrysides of Japan. We stopped by a chocolate factory, and that afternoon, actually, right after we returned our bikes, we did go back to that original apple farm because we needed more apples in order for us to make our apple pie that evening. So went back, we even got grapes. So they had grapes in season. So we did, forgot what these grapes were called actually. Oh, the muscat grapes. So and they were so cheap, obviously compared to sort of getting them elsewhere. But yeah, we got 2 bunches of grapes and went home. We got a ton of groceries for the next 2 evenings, sort of just in preparation. So this evening, our plan was to make an apple pie. And we also made a fire. So again, super fall vibes. We did successfully make the pie, which was not guaranteed because the Airbnb only had a microwave electric oven. So I don't think the temperature ever exceeded, I want to say 190 degrees, but we made it work and we had an incredible apple pie. We may have made too many apples actually, so we had a ton of boiled apples left over. But all in all, a great evening. Played board games, watched Gilmore Girls. Yeah, it was very nice. And then the next day was really the last full day we had in Nagano, which again, like I think I'm speeding through this, but because we were able to do so much and I'm over here sort of documenting and recounting, it is, yeah, I think that journaling is such an important process to sort of like living your life twice in a way almost, because now that I'm recounting things, I remember certain things, and yeah, it's just a really nice, beautiful little memory of a very, very short trip that we had, but you know, I think there's something about time dilation and how when you do a lot in a short amount of time, it actually feels like a much longer time than, let's say, 3 weeks of work. And so the next day we did go visit the snow monkeys, which is apparently just a given in Nagano that you have to go see. So we kind of arrived at the park. We had to hike through this sort of mountainous area, which you'll see here. Very beautiful, very breezy. And they warned us that there were only 3 monkeys in the park, which is totally fine. What we didn't get to see was monkeys sort of bathing in the onsen, because I don't think it's the season to bathe in the onsen, but we did see sort of like monkeys, you know, giving each other back scratches. And we did stay around for an hour and a half or so and took like 1,000 photos of monkeys, which I thought was hilarious. And yeah, we ended up having a quick lunch there before we had to sort of rush to a bus to take us to the Nagano main station, which again, it's because we don't have a car. So traveling around Nagano was a little bit of a, when are we gonna catch the next train? When are we gonna catch the next bus? And so that was sort of the, I think, a little bit more stressful part of the trip, but it all worked out. And we did sort of, you know, kind of in an impromptu fashion, found a second orchard called Narita-en in the Toyono station, sort of between Nagano and where we had to go anyways. And it was actually a great orchard. We learned a lot about the apples. We continue eating apples. And by the time the trip was over, I was so over apples, but I love apples, so not over them anymore. But the apples were just so good. We learned about sort of 2 different types of apples that we now love. One was the Shinano Gold apple, which is a yellow apple that we thought was gonna be sour, but it ended up being the sweetest apple that we've ever had. And then the Akibai. We did bring some back, but don't tell. But yeah, so that night after apple picking, we did take a cab back to our Airbnb just because we were so tired at that point. And we ended up making a big hot pot filled with vegetables and meats that we got from the supermarket the prior day. And that really sort of topped off our trip. I thought this was a very appropriate sticker to kind of show us all around the dining table. We started a fire again. We baked some mini apple pies with our leftover apples, and we played Reformation. Watched some more Gilmore Girls. Again, very fall vibes. And yeah, this is now the end of our trip, and just even sort of documenting the last day, all travel. Us at the station super early, the Nagano station train stamp, the Shinkansen. We basically had to transfer, I think, 3 trains in order to get to the Narita airport. So I think we set off from the house at like, I want to say 6:45, and we arrived at Narita at 11:30. So it was quite an arduous journey, long journey, lots of transfers, but everything worked out. We managed to get, thankfully we got our train tickets the day before when we went to Nagano station, so they were out of seats already. So yeah, everything worked out, and I did get to go to Travelers Company, the Travelers Airport Factory at Narita Airport, and I did pick up some items. So that was my 4th kind of stationary stop along the way. And yeah, this is sort of our trip coming to an end. I'm sorry I kind of sped through this. I just didn't want this to be like a super long video again, because I know there's already some footage and a talking head of me earlier on in this video, but I want to say if there's anything kind of specific here that you'd want me to dive into. I did sort of, like I said, doing a lot more illustrations this trip, so these are illustrated. Let's see what else. Yeah, I feel like I sort of was less precious about how I used my space and how things looked. I just kind of saw space, filled it, and if I needed to sort of top things up, I did with like little sticky notes or additional paper. If I saw empty spaces, I just filled them with like a stamp. And yeah, so I'm really happy about this travel journal. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, which is a little bit different, I guess, from the videos that I usually do, which are just normal flip throughs. It is very chatty though, so it's quite similar to, I guess, the rest of my videos where I feel like I'm like speeding through it. But regardless, thank you for being here. I am enjoying making these videos. I want to do something a little bit different every time, so I hope you like it, and I hope to see you next time. Let me know what you want to see next. I am going to Japan in about 3 weeks time again, so I don't know if there might be another flip through, but before then I'm sure there will be something else too. So anyways, I hope everyone here has a great rest of the day, and we will chat soon. Bye bye.